June 8, 1944. Just outside the French village of Villers-Bocage. The morning mist clings low to the hedgerows, heavy with gunpowder and the smell of diesel. Inside a Tiger I tank, Lieutenant Karl-Heinz Becker wipes condensation from his gun sight. He's 25, veteran of the Eastern Front, confident, perhaps too confident. The Tiger's Maybach engine growls beneath him like a caged animal. His radio operator, Hans, chuckles as he spots a burning Allied tank in the distance. Another Sherman, Hans mutters, smirking. Coffins on tracks. They've said it 100 times before. To German tankers, the M4 Sherman is a joke, undergunned, under-armored, and overproduced. The Allies send them in droves, and the Tigers tear them apart. At 1,000 meters, a single shot from the 88mm gun turns a Sherman into a fireball. And yet, something feels different this morning. Reports from the front speak of British tanks knocking out Tigers at impossible ranges, over 1,500 meters. Rumors spread through the panzer crews like wildfire. No one believes it. How could they? The Tiger is the king of the battlefield, the product of German engineering perfection. But near the small Norman crossroads ahead, a British crew waits. Inside what looks like an ordinary Sherman, Sergeant David McIntyre of the 13th 18th Royal Hussars rests his hand on the breech of a long, slender gun. The weapon nearly reaches the edge of the hedgerow in front of him. The 17-pounder, Britain's most powerful anti-tank gun, now mounted on the humble Sherman chassis. To the untrained eye, it's still Tommy's coffin, but today it's a Firefly. Mac peers through the periscope, steady and calm. Enemy column, Tiger, front, range 1,200 yards. He breathes once, deeply. Gunner, on. The gunner nods, his hands trembling slightly as he sights the black silhouette rolling into view. The Tiger's armor glints faintly in the morning sun. Fire! The 17-pounder roars like thunder. The recoil slams the turret. Dust and leaves erupt around the barrel. A moment later, a bright orange flash blooms from the Tiger's hull. Inside, Karl-Heinz doesn't even have time to shout. The armor-piercing shell slices through the thick frontal plate, straight into the ammunition rack. The Tiger explodes in a column of smoke and flame. The laughter dies in an instant. June 9th, 1944. Near Tilly-sur-Seulles. Rain drizzles across the Norman countryside, turning fields into thick brown sludge. British troops trudge past burned-out armor, Tigers, Panthers, and the occasional Sherman. But this one, the Firefly, sits silent and untouched, its long barrel pointed toward the road like a warning finger. News of the engagement spreads fast through British lines. Word is, a Sherman killed a Tiger with one shot. Most soldiers dismiss it as rumor. Others whisper it in disbelief, as though afraid the Germans might overhear. For months, Allied tank crews had dreaded encounters with German heavy armor. They called Tigers invincible, monsters that could knock out their tanks before they even saw the enemy. The Sherman's 75mm gun couldn't penetrate a Tiger's front armor, even at point-blank range. Many crews never had the chance to fire back. But the Firefly changes everything. Conceived in desperation, the Firefly is the brainchild of British engineer W.G.K. Kilburn at Vickers. Faced with German superiority in tank design, he asked a simple question. What if we could fit our most powerful gun onto their most common tank? It wasn't supposed to work. The 17-pounder was too large, the recoil too violent, the breech too massive for the Sherman's narrow turret. The loader's space had to be rebuilt, Radio moved to the rear, and ammunition stored vertically like shells in a battleship. But somehow, it worked. And what emerged was a tank that could finally go toe-to-toe with the Tiger. When British forces landed on D-Day, only a handful of Fireflies were available. One per troop of 4 tanks. Crews disguised them with paint to hide the long gun barrel, hoping to keep them alive long enough to make a difference. And on that overcast morning outside Villers-Bocage, they proved their worth. In the German command post, Oberst Wilhelm von Kluge studies the latest situation reports. A Tiger platoon, gone. Wiped out by Shermans. His first thought is disbelief. His second is fury. He slams a fist on the table. They must have been hit by aircraft. No, Herr Oberst, the adjutant says quietly. Witnesses report a single British tank. Von Kluge stares at the map, the small blue symbol marking the point of engagement. The idea gnaws at him. Could the Allies really have built something capable of piercing a Tiger's armor? Meanwhile, in the field, Sergeant McIntyre's crew is reloading. The loader, Private Lewis, is grinning ear to ear. First Tiger we've ever seen, and she went up like a bloody bonfire. Keep your voice down, Mac growls. We're not done yet. Because they all know. For every Tiger burning, there are more waiting in the hedgerows. Still, for the first time in months, the balance feels different. June 12th. 1944. Near Hill 213, west of Caen. The night smells of oil and cordite. The hedgerows are alive with the quiet hum of engines and the rustle of nervous men checking their weapons. Sergeant McIntyre's Firefly creeps forward, its long 17-pounder barrel cutting through the mist like a spear. The crew moves with slow precision. They know the enemy is close. Somewhere ahead, the guttural roar of Maybach engines echoes faintly through the bocage. Tigers, hold here, Mac whispers, scanning the darkness. We'll wait for them to move. Inside the cramped turret, every sound feels amplified. The click of metal, the hiss of breath, the faint squeak of a track roller turning. For the Germans, confidence has turned to tension. Lieutenant Friedrich Albrecht, commanding a Tiger of the 503rd Heavy Panzer Battalion, eyes the fields through his binoculars. The men in his unit used to joke about the Shermans. 1 shot, 1 kill every time. But now, he's uneasy. 2 Tigers lost in the last 3 days, both to long-range fire from tanks no one even saw. He turns to his gunner. The English have a new weapon, he mutters. We fight ghosts now. At 600 yards, a flash cuts the darkness. Brief, blinding, precise. The Firefly fires first. The round slams into the Tiger's front plate with a scream of metal. Sparks cascade down the armor like molten rain. The Tiger lurches backward, smoke pouring from its engine deck. Albrecht's crew scrambles to traverse the turret, but before they can, another shell strikes the turret ring. The 57-ton monster stops moving. Inside the Firefly, Mac exhales slowly. The gunner's knuckles are white on the trigger. Target destroyed, he whispers. Outside. The battle continues. But word spreads fast. Across the 21st Panzer Division, reports of long-barreled Shermans start to appear in radio traffic. German tankers begin firing the moment they spot a Sherman with an unusually long gun. Terrified it might be one of these new killers, it becomes a deadly game of deception. British crews camouflage the Firefly's barrel with rags, paint, and foliage to make it look shorter. The enemy never knows which Sherman is ordinary and which one can punch through a Tiger's heart. By late June, entire German units begin adjusting their tactics. They avoid open fields. They stay behind cover. Even the mightiest panzers move with caution now. In just a few weeks, the Firefly has changed the psychology of the battlefield. For the first time, British tank crews feel something they haven't in years: power. June 26, 1944, near the ruins of Villers-Bocage. The once idyllic French town is a graveyard of armor. Charred Tiger hulks lie smoldering beside shattered Shermans. The air tastes of soot and victory, a bitter mix that no soldier can quite describe. Sergeant McIntyre's Firefly rolls through the debris, its treads crunching over the blackened remains of what had been the most feared weapon in Europe. The long 17-pounder barrel gleams faintly in the afternoon sun, a silent statement of defiance. His gunner, still awestruck, leans out the turret hatch. "Hard to believe, Sarge. Those beasts used to make us run." Mac doesn't smile. "They're men like us. And today, we got lucky luck and engineering." By late June, more Fireflies are arriving from Britain. Each troop now fields at least one, sometimes two, of the modified tanks. The British Army has learned to pair them with standard Shermans. 3 to draw the enemy's fire, 1 to strike back with deadly precision. And strike they do. Outside Caen, on July 8th, during Operation Charnwood, a Firefly from the 3rd Royal Tank Regiment takes up position behind a stone wall. When a Tiger emerges at the far end of a field, its massive turrets swiveling to engage the leading Shermans, the Firefly fires twice. One shell rips through the Tiger's frontal armor. The second detonates its ammunition. The German advance halts. That day, a captured panzer commander mutters to his interrogator, "They were supposed to die when we saw them. Now, it's we who die." The statement spreads through Allied ranks like gospel. Crews start painting small Firefly emblems on their turrets, a mark of pride and of fear reborn. Because they all know what it means. For once, they're not the hunted. But across the Channel, British engineers are still pushing harder. They know the Firefly isn't perfect. Its high silhouette and cramped interior make it awkward in close combat. Still, they keep refining it, producing over 2,000 by war's end. Meanwhile, German morale erodes. Reports to Berlin describe Allied tanks firing beyond effective German range. Some officers dismiss them as exaggerations, others quietly panic. In Normandy's narrow lanes, where Tigers once ruled with impunity, they now crawl like prey. The laughter that once echoed inside German turrets has been replaced by silence. And the low, uncertain question whispered from one crewman to another. Was that one a Firefly? As dusk settles over the French countryside, Sergeant McIntyre's Firefly parks under the shade of an orchard. The crew climbs out, bone-tired, their ears still ringing from the day's firing. Lewis tosses a ration tin toward the campfire and sighs. "So that's it, eh?" The great Tiger killer Mac looks back at the tank, its paint scarred, barrel blackened from powder burns. "She's no Tiger killer," he says softly. "She's just what we needed to stop running." In the distance, the rumble of artillery fades into the night. The war will drag on, through Caen, through Falaise, across the Rhine. But something fundamental has shifted. The myth of German invincibility has been broken. And it broke under the gun of a humble Sherman, reborn as the Firefly.